So, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the class on investment management. In the last class, I was discussing the theoretical concept of fundamental analysis, which we need to keep in mind whenever we talk about investment on a stock. We were discussing about the psychology of an investor. So, whenever an investor is looking for investment in the stock, what probably an investor look for? An investor is either looking for dividend or an investor is looking for capital appreciation. So I was discussing about these two part, like as an investor, what we look for investment is either dividend, return on dividend, which is called a dividend yield, or either capital appreciation. Okay, so probably once you go ahead and try to understand the concept about the how you can do the valuation of an ordinary share, the question here is that how we can discuss the valuation of an ordinary share. So whenever we talk about an valuation of an ordinary share, whenever we are talking about ordinary share, so probably an ordinary share have an infinite life, so they issued for perpetuity. So they issued for perpetuity. They have infinite life, and the thing with the ordinary share is that the compulsion of dividend is not fixed. So if the company want, they will give dividend. If the company don't want, they will not give dividend. So that's why valuation of ordinary share is a complicated it is a complicated process. It is a complicated process, and whenever we talk about the valuation of an ordinary share, what we need to keep in our mind, what form of model we can use to do the evaluation of an ordinary share. One of the model which is very common is the dividend discount model. One of the model which is very common is the dividend discount model. So we use a dividend discount model. To talk about the valuation of an ordinary share. So in the case of dividend discount model, if I talk about constant dividend model, if I talk about constant dividend model, if I talk about constant dividend model, so if I talk about under dividend discount model, if I talk about constant dividend model, like assume that a company gives a constant dividend from the beginning till the end. So there's no concept of face value or terminal value in the case of equity, because you know that in the case of equity follow going concern concept. So as such, there's no concept of terminal value in the case of ordinary share. So if you follow constant discount model, constant dividend discount model, constant dividend discount model, if you follow constant dividend discount model, constant dividend discount model, okay. So here what I'll do, here I'll assume that year on year basis, here I'll assume that year on year basis, here I'm assuming that year on year basis the company pay a constant value. So the future value as a shareholder, what you will get, so the future value as in shareholder, what you will get a dividend. Future value as a shareholder, you will get a constant dividend. So, so you will get a constant dividend. So as a shareholder, what is the future value you will get? That is a constant dividend. And what you can do, the discounting factor, you can discount this. You can discount this with the cost of equity. So you can discount this with the cost of equity. You can discount this with the cost of equity. Okay, KE means cost of equity, KD means cost of debt. So you can discount this with cost of equity. So if you discount this with cost of equity, so the present value of cash flow, what you are getting, that would be dividend divided by 1 plus KE for the first year for the power 1. This would be the present value of cash flow for year 1. For second year, that would be dividend divided by 1 plus KE to the power 2. Similarly, for third year, that would be dividend divided by 1 plus KE to the power 3. Similarly, for the last year, infinite year, the value that would be dividend divided by 1 plus KE to the power infinity. Okay, so this is the sum total of the present value of all the future cash flows, what you get. Okay, this is the constant dividend discount model. Now, what you do, the sum total of this, all this is the price of the share. The sum total of all this is the price of share. So if you talk about the intrinsic price of the share, so the intrinsic price of the share, that is equal to dividend divided by 1 plus key plus dividend divided by 1 plus key whole square plus dividend divided by 1 plus key till dividend divided by 1 plus k to the power infinity. What you can do, you can apply the GP here, geometric progression. If you notice these values, they are in GP. If you notice these values are in GP, where the common ratio of the GP, what is the common ratio here? 1 plus k. Okay, and what is the first term? So the your first term is dividend divided by 1 plus k. So you know that they, if you see this, these values are in GP. GP means geometric progression. When the number increases or decreases with a common ratio, that is called GP. And you know that sum of n terms in GP. When you talk about sum of n terms in GP, where if your ratio is less than one and n goes to infinity, so then what is the formula of sum of n terms in GP? The formula is A divided by 1 minus R. First term divided by 1 minus ratio. First term divided by 1 minus ratio. So if you apply the GP formula here, if you apply the GP formula here, so ultimately you'll get the price of the share. So what is the price of share? So the price of share here, this would be, first your A is dividend divided by 1 plus key, that is your A value, divided by 1 minus R. 1 minus R. R is 1 divided by 1 plus K. So if you solve this, you will get dividend divided by K. This is the price of share form. You have to remember this. If I give you a constant dividend discount model, then the price of share, if you calculate the price of share is dividend divided by cost of equity. Remember this formula. So 1 plus k, 1 plus k will get cancelled. I hope you understand the maths part of this, how this happens. So you can understand this part. You can understand this part here. Like if you want to understand mathematically, this is dividend divided by 1 plus k. This is 1 plus k minus 1 by 1 plus k. This get cancelled. This get cancelled. Ultimately, you'll get this. This is the price of the share. So everyone please remember that whenever we everyone please remember whenever whenever we want to determine whenever we want to determine the price of share, whenever we want to determine the price of share, whenever we want to determine the price of share, and where where the dividend amount of dividend to be paid is fixed, where the amount of dividend where the amount of dividend to be paid where the amount of dividend to be paid is fixed, where the amount of dividend to be paid is fixed. Whenever we want to determine the price of share, where the amount of dividend to be paid is fixed, okay, then the price of share is equal to dividend divided by cost of equity. Remember this formula. You don't have to remember the steps. If you don't understand maths part of that, that's okay, but you have to remember the formula. You have to remember the formula that whenever we talk about the dividend discount model, And if that amount of dividend which is paid is fixed, then you calculate the price of the share, and by this formula, that the price of share is equal to dividend divided by the cost of equity. Anyone, any doubt? Anyone, any doubt? Okay, so going further, going further, now going further, now we'll talk about constant dividend, constant dividend growth rate model. We'll talk about constant dividend growth rate model. We'll talk about constant dividend growth rate model. So when we talk about constant dividend growth rate model, so here I hope you remember the formula yesterday I told you. The formula of growth rate is retention ratio. The formula of growth rate is retention ratio into return on equity. This is the formula of growth rate. Yesterday I told you. I hope you still remember this formula. So when we talk about constant dividend growth rate model, so let the current dividend of the company, let the current dividend of a company, let the current dividend of the share is suppose DIV naught. Suppose the current dividend of share is DIV naught, and the growth rate of the dividend and the growth rate of the dividend and the growth rate of the dividend is suppose G percent. Suppose the growth rate of the dividend is G percent. Okay, this G percent is the growth rate of the dividend, and let the cost of equity, that is a discounting factor, cost of equity, suppose key. This cost of equity you can determine by CAPM model formula, which is RF plus beta into RM minus RF. If you want, you can determine by this formula cost of equity. Okay, then the current price is this. Okay, fine. So what is the, so let determine, let determine the price of the share. Let determine the price of share. Let's determine the price of share under constant. Let determine the price of share under constant. Let determine the price of share under constant dividend growth rate model. Let determine the price of share under constant dividend growth rate model. Okay, so how to do this? So right, year on year basis. Again, you know that ordinary shares follow going concern concept. So there's no relevance of face value or terminal value here. So year on year basis, you can year on year basis, you can visualize year on year basis, you can visualize the what would be the dividend. So future value, so the future value here is the dividend. So the future value, what you expecting here, so the future value, what you expecting here is the dividend. Constant dividend, constant dividend, constant dividend is suppose the, let the current dividend is DIV naught. Let the current dividend is DIV naught. So the future value after 1 year, what would be the value of dividend? So that would be DIV naught into 1 plus G. The growth rate is G percent. Then it would be div naught into 1 plus g. Second year that would be 2 square. Then for third year that will be div naught into 1 plus growth rate whole cube, like this you can do. And for infinite year that would be div naught into 1 plus g percent to the power infinity. Your discounting factor, your discounting factor is cost of equity. That is key. Cost of equity is your discounting factor. What you can do, you can find the present value. What you can do, you can find the present value. Present value, what is the present value? Present value of this would be div naught 1 plus g. G is a growth rate. For first year, that would be 1 plus k. For the year 1, for second year, this is for year 1. For second year, that would be div naught into 1 plus g percent divided by 1 plus k to the power 2. For third year, that would be div naught into 1 plus g percent divided by 1 plus k to the power 3. Like this, for every year, you can find the present value till infinity. So for infinite year, that would be div naught 1 plus g percent to the power infinity divided by 1 plus k to the power infinity. So now what is the, now before that we have discussed, we have discussed the case to find the price of share under constant dividend model. So under constant dividend discount model, this was the price of share. If we talk about constant dividend growth rate model, then what you will do, like you just need to anticipate what would be the future value of your dividend, then you determine the present value of that. Now the price of share, now the price of share, now the price of share, that would be div naught 1 plus g percent divided by 1 plus k for year 1. For year 2, that would be div naught 1 plus g percent whole square divided by 1 plus k whole square. Then for third year, that would be div naught into 1 plus g percent to the power 3 divided by 1 plus k to the power 3. Similarly, for infinite year, this would be div naught into 1 plus g percent to the power infinity divided by 1 plus k to the power infinity. So, so like this, you have to anticipate the future value of the, then you determine the present value of this. Again, same logic. Again, the same logic. They are in GP. Again, the same logic. They are in GP. The ratio of the GP is 1 plus g percent divided by 1 plus k. This is your ratio of the GP. Once you get the ratio, then you can get the A. What is A is the first step. What is the first step? Div dot into 1 plus g percent divided by 1 plus k. So 1 plus k. So once you get this, now what you need to do, again, sum of n terms in GP. You have to follow the formula sum of n terms in GP where ratio is less than 1. So and n is infinity. So the sum formula is A divided by 1 minus R. So if you apply the same formula, so the price of the share, is equal to A. What is A? The first term, that is div dot, that is div dot 1 plus g percent divided by 1 plus k divided by 1 minus R. Minus R is this. So if you solve this, div dot into 1 plus g percent divided by 1 plus ke, this is ke 1 plus ke minus 1 minus g divided by 1 plus ke. This get cancelled. So this get cancelled. So the price of share div dot into 1 plus g percent divided by ke minus g. This is the formula you have to remember. This is the formula you have to remember. Everyone, please see this. Okay, anyone have any doubt? Anyone any doubt? So this is the formula. This is the formula under costed dividend growth rate model. So under costed dividend growth rate model, under costed dividend growth rate model, under costed dividend growth rate model, your price of share is equal to div naught 1 plus g percent divided by 1 plus k. This is the price of share. You can write this as also like this, div 1 divided by 1 plus k. I hope you understand. Div 1 is equal to, you know that div naught into 1 plus g percent. So please remember this formula, very important. Whatever way you want to buy hurt, but you should know this formula. Sorry. This k minus denominator. K minus g. This is k minus g. This is k minus g. Clear, everyone remember this formula. Now, based on this formula, we'll solve the question. Now, you can see this question number 7, part B. You take both this question, A and B. Take both this question, A and B. So you see this question. I told you the formula, the price of share formula. Price of share, I told you the formula, that is equal to div1 divided by k minus g, or div naught into 1 plus g percent divided by k minus g. This is the formula. Div naught means present dividend of the share. Div1 means dividend for the next year. K is the cost of equity. G is the growth rate. Remember this formula. I'm going to use this formula to solve this question number A and question number B. So whenever current dividend is given, whenever the next year dividend is given, so this is the formula what we need to use. So let's do the part A question, 2 marks question first. So here written, a company next year pays a dividend expected to be this much. Next year dividend means dividend for the next year div1 is 3.5 with a subsequent growth rate. Growth rate is given to you 10% per annum, 10% per annum. and required rate of return is 15%. Cost of equity is 15%. So what should be the price? What should be the price? So the price is equal to DIV1 divided by KE minus G. DIV1 is 3.5 divided by KE. KE is 15% and the growth rate is 10%. The price of share is equal to 3.5 divided by point 3.5 divided by 0.05. So 3.5 divided by 0.05 means 350 divided by 5 means 70 rupees. 2 marks question for you. Clear everyone? Clear everyone? Anyone have any doubt? I hope you all can hear me. Anyone have any doubt? So then the part B of the question. Part B of the question. The current dividend of the equity share of ABC Limited is 3 rupees. So the current dividend means DIV naught is 3 rupees. The present growth rate, the growth rate is 50%. So the growth rate is 50% means 0.5. What is the intrinsic value of the share of ABC Limited if the investor return of 16%? So cost of equity is 16%. So again, the price of share. So again, if you want to find the price of share, the price of share that is equal to DIV naught into 1 plus G% divided by K minus G. DIV naught is 3, 1 plus growth rate. Growth rate is 50%, 0.5 divided by K minus G, 0.5 minus 0.16. So the price of share, if you want to determine, so the price of share, if you want to determine, this is 3 into 1.5 divided by 0.34. This is 4.5 divided by 0.34. So this is 450 divided by 34. Okay. So you solve this 450 divided by 34. So 450 divided by 34. That is 13.23. So the price of share is 13.2352. This is 6 marks question. Done everyone? Done? If you have more question paper, please forward me. If you have question papers, I have 2018 and 19 only. 19 only I have only 3 question paper, January 2019, January 2018, July 2018. So if you have more question paper, please forward me. This is done. Anyone have any doubt? Anyone, any doubt? Hmm. Anyone, any doubt? Now let's see the next question. This question came for 8 marks. So Excel Limited paid a dividend of 2.75 during the current year. Means the current dividend means DIV naught is 2.75. Okay, forecast suggests that the earning and dividend of company likely to grow at 8% for the next 5 years. Dividend will grow for 8%. Uh, Earning and dividend grow at 8% for the next year. For the next 5 years, grow at the 8%. Okay, and then at the rate of 5% after that, and after that, so from sixth year infinity, sixth year to infinity, it will grow at 5%. From sixth year to infinity, it will grow at 5%. Investor have traditionally required a rate of return of 20%, so the cost of equity is 20%. What is the present value of the share? What is the present value stock? So this is the question. Anyone, any confusion before I start solving this question? Anyone, any confusion before I start solving this question? Have you understood this question? So for the 5 year, it will grow at 8%. Then from sixth year, it will grow at the rate of 5% and the cost of equity is 20%. So I hope you can understand that you can understand. So if you see this problem, in this problem, it is given that the present dividend of the stock is 2.75. So what you do year by year basis, the dividend will increase year by year basis. The dividend will increase year by year basis. Year by year basis, you can see the present dividend is 2.75. So the DIV naught is 2.75. Then dividend is growing at the rate of 8%. Dividend is growing at the rate of 8%. You can see that, right? Dividend is growing at the rate of 8% for the next 5 years. So the dividend, so the future value of your dividend, so the future value of your dividend, so it will grow at the rate of 8%. So 2.75 into, it will grow at the rate of 8%. 2.75 into 1 point, it is growing at the rate of 8% into 1.08. So 2.75 into 1.08, 2.75 into 1.08. So it is 2.97. Then next year it will become 2.97. Then it will grow at the rate of 8%. For the 5 year, it is growing at the rate of 8%. Yeah, you can find the 8% of this. This is 3.2076. Then 3.2076 at the rate of 8%. 3.2076 into 1 plus 8%. This is 3.2076 into 1.08. That is 3.4642. 3.4642. Then for next year 3.4642. Then it will grow at the rate of 8%. This is 3.4642 into 1.08 into 1.0 into 1.08. This is 3.741. Then 3.741. 3.741. It will grow at the rate of 8%. This is 3.741 into 1.08. Four point 04065. Then 4.04065 into 1 plus 8%. This is 4.04065 into 1.08. It is 4.3639. So like this, for every year you have to find the future value of dividend. Anyone, any doubt? Clear? Anyone have any doubt? So once you get the future value of dividend, what you can do, you know the discounting rate, and the discounting rate of return is 20%. So you can find the present value of the share. So once you get the future value of the discount, once you get the future value of your dividend, these are your future value of your dividend. These are your future value of your dividend. Once you get the future value of your dividend, what you can do, you can find the discounting rate is 20%. You can find the discounting rate is 20%. You can find the present value. So the present, you can find the present value of cash flow. You can find the present value of cash flow. For this would be 2.97. 2.9 divide by, for the first year, that would be 1 plus 20% to the power 1. So this would be 2.97 divided by 1.2. So discount it, 2.97. Find the present value. For each year you can find the present value. So 2.97 divided by 1.2. So divide by 1.2, you will get 2.475. You'll get 2.475. Okay. Then for second year, this would be 3.2076. Divide by 1 plus 20% for year 2. This would be 3.2076. Divide by 1.2 square for second year. Present value, this would be 3.2076 divided by 1.44. Do this 3.2076 divide by 1.44 is 2.2275 is 2.75. Okay, for third year you can find, for the third year the value would be, for third year you can find the value for the third year like this. Every year you have to find the value for the third year. 3.4642 divided by 1.2 whole cube, that is 3.4642 divided by 1.728, 1.2 cube, so 3.4642, so 3.4642 divided by 1.728, this is 2.007, this is 2.00474. Then for the fourth year, then for the fourth year the value would be 3.741 divided by 1.2 to the power 4. So this is 3.741 divided by 1.2 to the power 4, that is 1 point, that is 2.0736. So this would be 3.741 divided by 2.0736. This is 1.8041. Okay, then so you got for E1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You got this. So you can see this. So for the time period for which the company was growing at 8% growth rate, that was the supernormal growth rate time. So the present value, during supernormal growth rate, during supernormal growth rate. So what is the present value? You can find the present value. So you can find the present value. This 1.8041 plus 2.00474 plus 2.2275 plus 2.475. So how much you'll get? You'll get 8.51134. So you'll get 8.51134. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. No? For 5 years. No? So 4.04065. Okay, 1 year is left. 1 minute. Fifth year is left only. So fifth year is pending, yet pending. So let's do for fifth year also. For fifth year, this is 4.04065. 4.04065 divided by 1.2 to the power 5. So find this for the fourth year. This is 1.2 to the power 5. That is 2.48832. 2.48832. That is 2.48832. So this is 4.04065 divided by 2.48832. So this is 4.04065 divided by 2.48832. This is 1.6238. 1.6238. So the present value of cash flow for the supernormal growth rate, you can find the sum. The supernormal growth rate, supernormal growth rate, supernormal growth rate is from year one to year five. You know that, and during that time the firm was growing at 8% per annum. Okay, so the present value during that time, how much is the present value during that time? So you can find the sum 1.6238 plus 1.8041 plus 2.00474 plus 2.2275 plus 2.475 475. So you'll get 10.13514. So this is the value for the supernormal growth rate, the present value. While from sixth year, you can see from the sixth year, you can see from the question that from the sixth year, the company is growing at the constant growth rate till infinity. So you know that. From sixth year to infinity, the firm is growing. The firm is growing at a constant growth rate model, at a constant dividend rate model, as a constant dividend growth rate model. What you can do, you can find the present value. What is the present value of that? So the present value of that. So the present value of that is the dividend for the sixth year divided by Ke minus G2, means the second constant growth rate, divided by 1 plus Ke. So this is the price what you get to the power 5. You get the sixth year, no? The 5 years. So this is the dividend. So the dividend for the sixth year is 4.3639. That is 4.3639. That is 4.3639 divided by K. K is 20% and K is 20%. And then second growth rate is 5% and 1 plus 20% to the power 5. So you can solve this. This is 4.3639 divided by, this is 20 minus 5, matlab 15%, or 1.2 to the power 5. You can find the present value. So the present value, what you get, that is 4.3639 divided by 0.15. Achha, this divide by 2.484832. That is 11.6916. 11.6916. Okay, so 4.3639 divide by 2.48832, okay, divide by 0.15, 11.6916. So you can see for the constant growth rate model, this is the present value, and while for the supernormal growth rate the model, this is the present value. Okay, so the what is the price of share? So the price of share is equal to the present value uh, for supernormal growth rate. For the supernormal growth rate, for the present value for the supernormal growth rate, while the present value for the constant growth rate. Constant growth rate. So supernormal growth rate, that was 10.13, 10.13, 10.13, 514, 514 plus 11.6916. So 11.6916. You add them. So you add them. 10.13514. 10.13514. It, it is equal to 21.8268. This is the price. Okay, so this is the way how you need to do. So first you have to determine the price of the share for the super normal growth rate. You have to find the price of the share, then add that price of the share for the normal growth rate. Next class I'll discuss more on this. I'll do more numerical on this to make you understand this part. So try to understand how much you can understand from this. Probably we'll take one or two more numericals like this so that you'll understand this very well. Anyone have any doubt? Any question? Anyone?